My parents screamed, "Leave and never come back." So I did, to my private island estate, and now they're homeless because I was covering their rent. Before we move forward, please show some love by subscribing and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. Get out of my house, you ungrateful witch. Mama's voice shattered the Sunday afternoon calm, her finger jabbing toward the door like a loaded weapon. I stood in their cramped living room, my hands trembling as I held the envelope containing this month's rent check. $2,800 I'd been paying for the past 4 years. "Mama, I just came to drop off." I said, "Get out." Daddy rose from his recliner, his face twisted with rage I'd never seen before. "We don't need nothing from you, Carol. You think you're better than us with your fancy job and your uppity attitude." My throat tightened. The fancy job was a tech startup I'd built from nothing, coding in coffee shops at 3 a.m. while working 2 jobs. The uppity attitude was me asking them not to invite my ex, Alec, to family dinners anymore after he cheated on me with my cousin. "Leave and never come back." Mama screamed, and I watched Daddy nod in agreement, his eyes cold and distant. Something inside me cracked clean open. Not my heart, that had been breaking slowly for years. No, this was different. This was clarity. "Fine," I whispered, setting the envelope on their coffee table. The paper felt heavy with 4 years of sacrifice, of choosing their comfort over my own dreams, of shrinking myself to fit their expectations. I walked to the door, my designer heels, bought after my first major contract, clicking against their worn linoleum. At the threshold I turned back one last time. They were already ignoring me, Mama picking up her phone, Daddy settling back into his chair. I didn't know it yet, but I'd never walk through that door again. My hands shook on the steering wheel of my Mercedes as I drove away, their apartment building shrinking in my rearview mirror. They had no idea. None. Mama thought I worked some computer job making decent money. Daddy assumed I was barely scraping by because I never flaunted anything around them. The truth? I was worth $43 million. My tech company, Streamline AI, had exploded in the past 18 months. We'd revolutionized inventory management for major retailers, and 3 months ago, a venture capital firm had bought 60% of my shares. The offer was obscene. I'd accepted it, then done something crazy. I'd bought an island. Not a vacation timeshare. An actual private island off the Carolina coast. 15 acres of pristine beauty with a renovated estate, guest houses and a private dock. Cost? $8 million, paid in cash. I'd planned to surprise my family with a vacation there next month. A thank you for believing in me. What a joke. My phone buzzed. My best friend Tamara's name flashed across the screen. "Girl, you okay? Your location says you're driving toward the coast." "I'm going home, Tam. My real home." "Wait, what happened?" I told her everything. The screaming, the humiliation, the years of silent sacrifices they'd never acknowledged. How I'd been covering not just their rent, but Daddy's car payment, Mama's credit cards, my brother Jamal's tuition. "Carol, they don't know about the money? They know I help out. They don't know I'm the only reason they haven't been evicted 6 times. Tamara's sharp intake of breath said everything. "What are you going to do?" I merged onto the coastal highway, my jaw set with new determination. Exactly what they told me to do. Never come back. The boat sliced through dark water, carrying me toward the twinkling lights of my sanctuary. Captain Morrison, who managed the island's maintenance, stood at the helm, his weathered face creased with concern. "Miss Carol, you weren't supposed to arrive until next weekend. Everything all right?" "Change of plans, Captain. I'm staying indefinitely." The estate materialized from the darkness like something from a dream. 12,000 square feet of modern architecture blended with coastal charm, floor-to-ceiling windows, wraparound porches, An infinity pool that seemed to spill into the ocean. Solar panels and wind turbines made it completely self-sufficient. I'd named it Serenity Point in a moment of hopeful irony. Now it felt like a fortress. My property manager, Diana Gibson, waited at the dock, her tablet glowing. "Carol, I wasn't expecting. Are you okay? You look homeless," I finished bitterly. "Technically, I just got kicked out of my parents' house." Diana's eyes widened. "But you don't live." "I know." I brushed past her, my heels clicking on the custom stonework path. "Can you have my things brought from the penthouse? I'm done with the mainland for a while." Inside, the estate was exactly as I'd designed it. Minimalist luxury with warm touches. African art from my heritage decorated the walls. Smart home technology I'd programmed myself controlled everything. The master suite overlooked the private beach where bioluminescent plankton glowed in the surf. I collapsed onto the California king bed, still in my Sunday dress, and finally let myself cry. Not sad tears, angry ones. Cleansing ones. My phone buzzed again. Jamal, my younger brother. "Sis, what the hell did you do? Mama's losing it, saying you disrespected her in her own home." I stared at the message, my tears drying into something harder. "Time for some truths. Jamal, did you know I pay their rent?" I typed back, my fingers steady now. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Wait, what?" "I thought the landlord cut them a deal after Daddy's accident." My laugh was sharp and bitter. Daddy's accident was 3 years ago. A minor fender bender he'd milked into permanent disability that somehow never prevented him from playing golf twice a week. "There's no deal. I pay $2,800 monthly. Have been since you started college." "Carol, that's insane. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because Mama made me promise not to. Said it would embarrass Daddy if people knew he couldn't provide." I sent him my bank statements, redacted, but showing 4 years of payments to their landlord, $134,400 total. His response came in a voice note, his words tumbling out in shock. "They've been telling everyone you're selfish. That you got your little job and forgot where you came from. Mama literally told Auntie Rochelle last week that you never helped the family." The betrayal cut deeper than the screaming had. I'd been silent about my generosity because they'd asked, and they'd weaponized my silence against me. A new text appeared. "My cousin Shanice, heard you stormed out of Sunday dinner. Real mature, Carol. Family's supposed to come first." Shanice, who'd slept with Alec, then blamed me for not keeping my man satisfied. Who'd borrowed $5,000 from me 2 years ago for emergency surgery that turned into a trip to Cancun. I created a group chat. Jamal, Shanice, my Aunt Rochelle, Uncle Deshaun, and my grandmother, Big Mama, the only one who'd always seen through the family's BS. Then I attached a document. 4 years of financial records. Every payment, every loan that was never repaid, every crisis I'd quietly solved. The group chat exploded. My phone buzzed so violently it nearly vibrated off the marble nightstand. I watched the messages flood in, sipping whiskey from a crystal tumbler Diana had thoughtfully left in my suite. "Uncle Deshaun, Lord have mercy. Carol, is this real?" "Big Mama, I knew it. I knew my baby was taking care of everyone. Y'all should be ashamed." "Shanice, this is private financial business. You had no right." "Aunt Rochelle, Shanice, baby, be quiet." "Carol, honey, we had no idea." Jamal sent a private message. "I feel sick. They really let you take care of everything while talking trash about you." My fingers moved across the screen with surgical precision. "Mama made me promise to keep it quiet. Said Daddy's pride couldn't handle charity. I honored that promise while they told everyone I abandoned the family. I'm done being silent. Another group text came through, this one from Mama herself, clearly panicked that her narrative was crumbling. Family business should stay private. You're making us look bad, Carol. This is so disrespectful. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my whiskey. Making them look bad? What's disrespectful? I typed slowly, deliberately. Is screaming at your daughter to leave and never come back when she's been keeping a roof over your head for 4 years. What's disrespectful is letting her pay $134,400 in rent while telling relatives she's selfish. I'm not making you look bad, Mama. I'm just finally letting people see the truth. Big Mama's response was immediate. Carol, where are you, baby? Somewhere I should have been all along. Taking care of myself. My phone rang. Daddy's number. I stared at it, watching it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then I did something I'd never done before. I declined the call. The silence that followed felt like power. Monday morning arrived with Carolina sunshine flooding through floor-to-ceiling windows. I woke to the sound of waves and seabirds, not alarm clocks or traffic. For the first time in years my chest felt light. Diana knocked softly on my sweet door, bringing fresh coffee and croissants from the island's kitchen. Your attorney called. Said it's urgent regarding property management. I'd forgotten. The rental property wasn't in my parents' names, it was in mine. I'd purchased the entire building 2 years ago when the previous landlord threatened eviction. My parents never knew. They sent rent checks to Morrison Property Management, Captain Morrison's wife, Linda, who I'd hired to handle the transaction discreetly. Tell Richard I'll call him back in an hour. My phone showed 47 missed calls. Mama, Daddy, Shanice, various relatives I barely spoke to. And one from Alec, my ex, with a text. Heard you came into money. We should talk. I blocked his number without reading further. Richard Gibson, my attorney and Diana's husband, answered immediately. Carol, we need to discuss the Harrison Street property. Your parents' rent check bounced. What? I sat up straighter. I gave them this month's check yesterday. They tried to cash it an hour ago. Your mother called the bank, screaming about frozen accounts. Ice water flooded my veins. I didn't freeze anything. No, but the check you wrote them yesterday was from your personal account, which they can't access. They'd been directly depositing your previous checks. This time they tried to forge your signature and deposit it themselves. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. They tried to commit bank fraud? The bank flagged it immediately. Carol, here's the real issue. Their actual rent is due Friday. Without your payment, they get evicted. The words felt surreal. How long before that happens? 3 days after non-payment. The property manager, Linda Morrison, has to follow standard procedures. I looked out at the ocean, its endless blue suddenly feeling like a moat protecting a castle. Richard, what happens if I don't pay? I lasted 6 hours before guilt gnawed through my anger. By dinner time I called Mama. She answered on the first ring. Carol, Monique Harris, you get back here right now. The bank is saying we committed fraud. They're threatening to press charges. Mama, you tried to forge my signature. It's family money. You gave it to us. I wrote you a check. You were supposed to deposit it normally, not try to cash it under my name. My voice stayed eerily calm. And it's not family money. It's my money that I was giving to family. Her voice cracked. Baby, what are you saying? I'm saying you told me to leave and never come back. I'm respecting your wishes. Daddy's voice boomed in the background. Let me talk to her. Shuffling sounds, then his gruff tone filled my ear. Carol, you're being childish. So we had an argument. Family fights. You don't abandon your people over one disagreement. One disagreement? My laugh was sharp. Daddy, you've called me uppity for 2 years. Mama's been telling everyone I'm selfish while I paid your bills. You invited my cheating ex to dinner after I begged you not to. And yesterday you both screamed at me like I was garbage. We were upset. You disrespected us by bringing up Alec. I asked you not to invite him. That's not disrespect. That's a boundary. Boundaries. Mama's voice returned. Since when do children have boundaries with their parents? We raised you, fed you, clothed you. You owe us. And there was the truth beneath everything. I don't owe you my entire life, Mama. We're about to lose our home. Tears filled her voice now. Is that what you want? Your parents on the street. My hand trembled. Your rent is due Friday? You know it is. We can't pay it without you. I closed my eyes, feeling the ocean breeze through the open balcony door. I'll think about it. Tuesday afternoon, Captain Morrison radioed from the dock. Miss Carol, you have a visitor. Says her name is Dorothy Harris, insists she's your grandmother. Big Mama. I hadn't expected this. Send her up, please. 10 minutes later, Big Mama stepped onto my terrace, her silver hair perfect, her church dress immaculate despite the boat ride. At 78, she moved with the grace of a woman half her age. Her eyes swept across the estate, taking in the infinity pool, the ocean view, the obvious wealth. Sweet Jesus, she whispered. Child, what is this place? My home, Big Mama. I bought it 3 months ago. She lowered herself into a patio chair, never breaking eye contact. And your parents don't know about any of this? No, ma'am. Why not? The question hung between us like a prayer. I sat across from her, suddenly feeling 12 years old again. Because every time I succeeded at something, they made it small. When I got my first programming contract, Daddy said, "Must be nice to play on computers for money." When I bought my Mercedes, Mama said I was showing off. I stopped sharing my wins because they made me feel guilty for having them. Big Mama nodded slowly. Your grandfather did the same to me. Made my accomplishments about his ego instead of my hard work. So what do? They're about to be evicted. That they're doing, not yours. But I have the money. And they have jobs, social security, and pride they claim to value so highly. Big Mama leaned forward, her hand covering mine. Baby, you've been setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. That envelope you left yesterday, did they even say thank you before they started screaming? I tried to remember. The entire afternoon was a blur of rage and hurt. No. They just yelled. Because they feel entitled to your sacrifice. He squeezed my hand. Carol, what you've built here is extraordinary. Don't let their smallness make you forget that. Wednesday morning brought rain. Unusual for the season but fitting for my mood. Diana found me in the estate's library, surrounded by financial documents I'd been reviewing obsessively. Linda Morrison called, Diana said carefully. The eviction notice was posted this morning. My stomach clenched. Already? They're 3 months behind in rent, Carol. The check you gave them was supposed to cover all of it. Current month plus back payments. Without it. Diana hesitated. Linda said your mother threw a potted plant at her when she posted the notice. Of course she did. I rubbed my temples. How long do they have? 72 hours to vacate or pay $8,400 total. $8,000. The amount I'd spent on the estate's new entertainment system. The price of the watch I'd bought myself last month. Nothing to me. Everything to them. My phone rang. Jamal. Says it's bad. Mama's having panic attacks. Daddy's sitting in the dark, not talking. They're calling everyone asking for money. But nobody has that kind of cash lying around. What about the church? They'd been members of Mount Zion Baptist for 30 years. Pastor Williams came by with $500 from the benevolence fund. It's not enough. I could fix this with one phone call. One transfer. But Big Mama's words echoed. You've been setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Jamal, I need to ask you something honestly. Did they ever thank me? For anything? Silence stretched between us. Sis. Just tell me the truth. No. His voice broke. They complained you didn't help enough. That the money always came with attitude. That you made them feel like charity cases. I never said one word about it. I know. But they expected more. They always expected more. Jamal took a shaky breath. Carol, I love them, but they're wrong. They've always been wrong about you. My tears fell hot and fast. Then what do I do? Whatever you need to do to protect yourself. Thursday evening, I broke my own rule and returned to the mainland. Not to my parents' apartment, to Aunt Rochelle's house, where I'd requested a family meeting. Everyone came. Big Mama, Jamal, Aunt Rochelle, Uncle Deshaun, even Shanice, who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Mama and Daddy arrived last, their faces haggard. Mama's eyes were red and swollen. Daddy had aged 10 years in 3 days. Carol. Mama rushed toward me, arms outstretched. I stepped back. Please sit down, Mama. Hurt flashed across her face, but she obeyed. The room fell silent as I stood at the head of Aunt Rochelle's dining table, my laptop open before me. I want everyone to see something, I began, turning the screen toward them. This is my company, Streamline AI. I founded it 5 years ago with $3,000 in savings and a dream. The website displayed our client list. Target, Walmart, Amazon. Their press page showed my photo. Professional, confident, successful. That's my baby, Mama whispered, something like pride creeping into her voice. This company was acquired 3 months ago for $118 million. My share was $43 million after taxes. The room erupted. Gasps, exclamations, Shanice's muttered curse word. Mama's hand flew to her mouth. $43 million. I continued, my voice steady. Enough to buy a private island, which I did. Enough to never work again, though I still consult. Enough to pay your rent for the next 100 years without feeling it. Daddy found his voice. Then why? Why am I letting you face eviction? I smiled without warmth. Because for 4 years I paid your bills while you called me selfish. I stayed silent about my success while you made me feel guilty for having nice things. I kept giving while you kept taking, and I never once heard, thank you. Not once. Mama stood, tears streaming. We didn't know. You never told us how much. Would it have mattered? I challenged. Would you have been kinder? More grateful? Or would you have just expected bigger checks? The silence answered everything. I want to tell y'all a story, Big Mama said, standing up with the authority only she possessed. About a little girl who came to me at 16, crying because her mama told her college was a waste. That girl worked 3 jobs, got herself through school, and never asked her parents for a dime. That same girl sent money home anyway, every month, even when she was eating ramen for dinner. Big Mama. Mama tried to interrupt. I'm not finished, Vanessa. Big Mama's voice could cut glass. That girl's daddy had an accident that gave him a limp. Not a disability. But he found a lawyer who got him paid for permanent injury, while he played golf and fixed cars for neighbors under the table. That girl's mama chose to work part-time instead of full, claiming she deserved rest at 55, while her daughter worked 80-hour weeks. I hadn't known Big Mama knew all this. Tears burned behind my eyes. And when that girl, my grandbaby, finally built something extraordinary, y'all made her feel like she had to hide it. Like success was shameful. Like she owed you her dreams as payment for raising her, which was your job as parents. We gave her life. Daddy shouted. And she gave you hers right back. Big Mama shot back. 4 years of paying your way. 4 years of silence while you badmouthed her. When does it end? When she has nothing left. Uncle Deshaun cleared his throat. Carol, I need to say something. Your mama called me last week asking to borrow money. Said you were being stingy, only paying their rent but nothing else. I had no idea you were paying anything at all. She told me the same thing, Aunt Rochelle added quietly. Said you'd gotten some promotions but forgot your raising. I looked at my parents, watching them shrink under the weight of exposure. You lied to the whole family about me. We didn't lie, Mama protested weakly. We needed help and you have so much. Had. I slammed my hand on the table. Had so much because I worked for it. Because I sacrificed and built and never stopped pushing. Mama collapsed into her chair, sobbing. We're going to be homeless. Our own daughter is going to let us be homeless. No, I said quietly. You're going to make a choice. Everyone looked up. I pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table to my parents. This is a lease agreement for a 2-bedroom apartment in a nice complex 15 minutes from here. Rent is $1,100 monthly. Affordable on Daddy's disability and Mama's part-time income if she goes full-time. First month and deposit paid. Mama grabbed the folder with shaking hands. So you'll help us? I'm helping you help yourselves. The apartment is yours, paid for 3 months. After that, you're on your own. No more checks from me. You'll have to budget, prioritize, live within your means. But what if we can't? Then you'll figure it out like everyone else does. Get roommates. Cut expenses. Daddy might actually have to stop playing golf and start working again. Daddy's face flushed red. I'm disabled. You played 18 holes last weekend. Your Facebook pictures show you working on Uncle T's Chevy yesterday. You're not disabled. You're entitled. How dare you? How dare I tell the truth? I stood gathering my things. Here's the deal. You take this apartment, you leave me alone to live my life, and we can maybe rebuild something real eventually. Or you refuse, figure out your own housing, and we can have the same result. Either way, I'm done being your ATM. Jamal spoke up. I'll help them move. Get them set up. Thank you. I looked at my parents one last time. I love you both. But I love myself more now. And I'm not apologizing for that anymore. I walked toward the door, Big Mama falling into step beside me. Carol. Mama's voice cracked. Where are you going? I turned back, framed in the doorway, backlit by the setting sun. Home. To my island. To my life. To everything I built while you told me I wasn't enough. Will you come back? When you can say, thank you without expecting more. Maybe. Until then, take care of yourselves. It's past time you learned how. 6 months later, I stood on my private dock, watching the sunrise paint the ocean in shades of gold and pink. The estate behind me hummed with life. Tamara was visiting with her new boyfriend. Diana and Richard were hosting a small business conference in the guest houses. And Big Mama had moved into the East Wing permanently, declaring she'd earned the right to retire somewhere beautiful. My phone buzzed. A text from Jamal. Update. Parents are doing okay. Mama went full-time at the hospital. Daddy started a legitimate car repair business from Uncle T's garage. They ask about you sometimes. Tell them I'm good, I typed back. Really good. I hadn't spoken to my parents since that night at Aunt Rochelle's. They'd taken the apartment, moved their stuff in silence, and slowly began building a life they could sustain. I heard through the family grapevine that it was hard at first. Mama cried a lot, Daddy was angry, but eventually something shifted. They started functioning like partners instead of victims. Aunt Rochelle sent photos sometimes. My parents at Jamal's graduation, pride genuine in their smiles. Daddy's new business sign. Mama volunteering at church, finding purpose beyond entitlement. They looked smaller somehow, but also more real. Baby girl. Big Mama called from the terrace. Breakfast is ready. I walked back up the stone path, my bare feet warm on sun-heated stone. Streamline AI was thriving with new leadership. I'd started a non-profit teaching coding to underprivileged kids. My calendar was full of things I'd chosen, not obligations I'd inherited. The ocean breeze carried salt and freedom. Seagulls cried overhead. Somewhere on the mainland my parents were learning to stand on their own feet. And here on my island I was finally learning to fly. Coming, Big Mama. I took one last look at the horizon, endless, full of possibility mine. Then I went inside to the family I'd chosen and the life I'd built. Some people say you can't choose your family. But I'd learned the truth. You can choose yourself. And that choice had set me free.